to Jack's Meat Shack. Today on the channel we're going to brine a brisket ear, and in 6 days time we're going to smoke that to make some wicked pastrami. It's not labour intensive, you just make the pickling spice for the brine, put the brisket in, 6 days passes, chuck it on the smoker, wicked pastrami for your din-dins. So first thing we're going to do is toast a few spices for the pickling brine, and then I'll talk you through the other processes. Really simple. Before you run away, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that button in the corner, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll have a video like this for you every week. You'd be mad not to do it. So first things first, a tablespoon of mustard seed, coriander seed and black peppercorns in a dry pan. And what you're going to do is keep these moving over the heat until they become fragrant. Then we're going to take them off, bash them up a little bit, and that is basically the first part of our pickling spice. Okay, these are starting to become fragrant now. So what we do, take them off. Now we're putting these straight into our pestle and mortar. Try not to lose any. And then all we're doing is literally just crushing these roughly, just to let out some of that flavour. You don't want to go down to a fine powder, just a rough bash with your pestle. Now to finish off the rest of our pickling spice brine, got a cinnamon stick, only a small one. Just gonna crush that up. Use your hands, yeah. Cut the bay leaves. And then I've got here some Korean red pepper. You normally use this for making kimchi, so I thought it would be quite a nice addition to the actual pickling spices. Might give it that extra pickly taste you need. So, a tablespoon of this. Then we're going with a tablespoon of allspice. Take the lid off, try again. And a tablespoon of ginger. And that's it, we're done. Okay, now we're going to start the brine. So in here I've got about 3 litres of water. We're going to get the heat on underneath it. We're going to add 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of granulated white sugar, and all of your pickling spice. All we want to do now is bring this to the boil so the salt and the sugar dissolve. We don't want to overboil it because you don't want to destroy the flavours from your spices. Everything in there is really aromatic, but if you boil the hell out of it, you're going to lose the flavour. So just wait until that salt and sugar combines, then off the heat. So now we're gonna wait until the brine mixture cools right down, because you don't wanna put your meat in it while it's hot. That will start to cook the meat basically, so don't do that. All we're doing here is taking away all that hard fat silver skin that's not gonna render down when you smoke your pastrami brisket. So nice sharp knife, take away that hard fat. I like to keep mine, roast it off, and then you've got beef dripping for your potatoes, your French fries, whatever you want. So you can see here, there's quite a big fat cap on this brisket here. We're gonna take all of that away, and then it'll be straight into the brine mixture. So now we're gonna hit fast forward and I'll show you what it should look like once all that hard fat has been removed. Don't kill yourself, a little bit of silver skin won't make a difference. The brine mixture has totally cooled down to room temperature. It's looking good. I will see you again in 6 days' time. And with the magic of technology, we are 6 days into the future. We're getting the Traeger on low and slow. Brisket out of the brine mixture, pick off all the sort of loose bits, like it was a cinnamon stick, mustard seed. You don't want any of that. And all we're gonna do now is pat it dry. You think, because this has absorbed all that brine for the last 6 days, so it's gonna retain a little bit of moisture. So I like to let it sit on the board, just to let that residual moisture come out of the meat, pat it dry, and then what we're gonna do is get some French's mustard, use that as a binder, give it a nice little paint, and then hit it with your rub. That's it, nice even strokes. Cover that meat. I'm not gonna flip this over and do the other side. I'm literally just gonna do the top. And now for some Firefly Texas barbecue rub. It's got those flavors I want in my pastrami. Nice bit of paprika, some brown sugar. Don't be shy, give this meat a nice coating. So now it's onto the Traeger Timberline, 850 for 6 hours roughly, I would say. I've put the Traeger on at 120 degrees Celsius, and I'm gonna use the probe to monitor its progress. After about sort of 3 hours, I want it to get to about 60, 65 degrees internally, and then I will wrap it in some foil. So we'll monitor its progress as we go. That's a couple of hours in. As you can see, the rub has started to form a nice crust on the outside, and we've hit that magic number I mentioned. So I'm going to wrap it in some foil. By wrapping it in foil, we're going to help it get over that stall where the meat is sweating and not rising in temperature. So wrap it in some foil. That'll just get it across the line. I want to get it to around 95 degrees Celsius. And then what we'll do is we'll rest it, slice it, look at that. And I'm gonna use my meat slicer actually to get it nice and thin. If you haven't got one of these, I highly recommend getting one. I picked this up off of eBay. It was like 20 quid. For things like this, pastrami, you're never gonna get it as thin as you like with a knife. So one of these is a must. And what we're going to do is we're going to serve this in some nice rolls with some onion rings. We're going to make a beer, cheese sauce. And this is all part of the Smoking Elks competition, USA with the Smoking Elk. Enter it, get involved, and you could win a Kamado Joe Mini Joe. How good's that? Pastrami nice and thin, ready for the main course. And there we have it. Cheesy beer sauce, pastrami, onion rings in a sub roll with fries, salad, Brussels sprouts. Nice IPA to wash it all down. Thanks again for joining me on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be putting a video out like this every week.